What's up, guys? Hey, how we doing? Mob, you guys got in here early. I wanted to hear the post-race interviews before I jumped on here because I just wanted to see kind of the body language between Cooper Webb and Ken Roczen. So, Micah, thank you so much for telling people to hit that like button. I really appreciate it. So people that don't know, Micah's a badass. She's been around monster trucks, quads. She's one bad girl. I don't mean that in the other way. I meant like badass. So that red flag, wow, that was a bummer for Max. AMA rule, FUKD Max. I thought the same thing. Yeah. Here's the thing though. I don't know. Knife throwing seat covers. What's up, my man? If you guys haven't checked out Knife throwing seat covers, you probably ought to. Not a sponsor, just a cool dude with some really good seat covers. Let's see. What was I talking about? Oh, Max and the rule. So I was with you guys. I thought the rule was 90% and then it was the finish. But apparently in the rule book, it is. So if they have time on the clock, they still restart them. It's only when they in the heat races and other races, it is 90%. But apparently in the main events, they go as long as there's time on the clock, they don't. Why don't they release riders, their time gap? Because it's not as exciting. I'll tell you guys. So, I have Rick Johnson, the original bad boy, coming on this week, and I was chatting with him, and he has an idea. He'll tell you guys all about his specific idea, and I thought it was kind of crazy at first when he told me about it last week. He wants competition yellows. He wants them to throw like NASCAR, halfway through or somewhere, some part of the main through. It was so funny. When they threw that, I immediately text him. I go, Rick, here's your competition yellow. And he's like, yeah, I know, but too late in the race. But he's like, see how exciting that was? And I don't want to take away from what he was thinking, but I was thinking more about it too. And if you do have a competition yellow halfway through, you eliminate a lot of these lapper problems. So that's another very positive thing about those. It makes for good racing, and yeah, it's interesting. Let's see. NASCAR finishes on red. Don't they always do a green white checker, Richard? I'm not a big NASCAR guy, but I thought they did green white checkers all the time, unless it was like the last lap. Oh, Nathan Ram. How about Anstie's comment on Team Star owner, Trouble in Paradise? He does not listen. I have to stand with people who have backbone and don't cower to people of power. And for him to call out Bobby and say, if you're not going to come to the race, don't text me and tell me you don't think I'm going to win. So, wow, good on Max Anstie. And he was not having it. I mean, one thing about Max, he'll tell you what he thinks. And a second place for Max Anstie isn't the end of the world. But that win would have really put him in a good position. Sean Houghton, competition yellow, bad idea. Yeah, I kind of was with you, but listening to RJ, and like I said, when he comes on for the interview, I'm sure he'll explain it. He has a different idea. And when somebody like Rick Johnson, the original bad boy, speaks, I'll be honest with you, I listen. I might not agree, but I'm sure as heck going to listen. And I love that finish. And thing about Levi Kitchen is, it was luck. There's a little bit of luck involved, but you still have to execute. He still had to get it together and go for it. And you got an animal like RJ Hampshire on your butt, and you're going to go for the win. I mean, he easily could have ended up third place. It could have hurt him just as bad as it helped him. But yeah, hashtag free Anstie. You guys are funny. I actually liked it. And one thing about red flags, I will never, ever get mad at throwing a red flag to save a downed rider. Anytime somebody is laid out on the track, I 100% believe, just, hey, I don't care when it is in the race. You do not worry about anything but that downed rider. And McAdoo, holy moly, this dude scares me. This dude scares me. Paige Connolly, thoughts on Yamaha dropping Anstie after his comment? No, come on, no way. No way would they drop him for his comment. Let's stop the cancel culture. Let's let these guys. He was pissed. He literally won the main event and then had to line up for a couple more laps. He gets slack on darn near anything he says. Justin Fee, McAdoo is a danger to himself and other riders. Yep, there's a pile of injured riders that have been hurt by him who would also agree with you. And as much as I think Cameron McAdoo is a good guy and tough as nails, he's dangerous. And hearing that he was going to ride with a torn ACL scared me. And I was texting with Coach Rob, and I'm like, I believe when you have like a bad ACL or bad wheel or something like that, when you do have an issue like he had in the whoops, you can't squeeze the bike. You don't get to make those corrections. You don't have the strength in your leg. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't have been racing, but he just doesn't make the right decisions. A lot of guys, when they race hurt, they ride smart, knowing they're dealing with an injury. McAdoo doesn't have that in his brain. He just goes, and that's just McAdoo. And I don't think you'll ever change him, but he scares the crap out of me. I really do get nervous when he's riding. McAdoo looked dead walking off the train. Yeah, seriously. And I genuinely worry about his coon, or like about his health as he retires. He's had so many bad injuries and head injuries, and he just works through them. It's not pretty when these guys retire. People don't see the aches and pains that these guys deal with. By the way, I sent Grant Langston some Nano. Hopefully it works good for him, because he told me he's dealing with a lot of, when you're done racing, your body is taking a beating. You can't unwind that. Alex W., I feel he should have been backboarded. Oh, I absolutely agree with you. But normally I'm really hard on on the safety guys. But with McAdoo, he was fighting to sit up. He's like, I'm walking off. And if a guy is that adamant about making sure he walks off, you can't stop him. I mean, he was walking off no matter what, and he's too tough for his own good. I do think, yeah, I don't know how you would fix that. Maybe you make a rule where if they deem you're unconscious, or I don't know what you do. So come on, the tough block drove the nail in the McAdoo crash. It absolutely did. And listen, I have beat the tough block thing to death. I even reached out to the promoter of the Paris Supercross. I have the email for the guy who makes those tough blocks. I reached out to him. I'm going to try and find out how much they are. I'm going to try and find out what it would take to get them. I'm trying to get the Arena Cross Series to start with them. Unfortunately, Feld doesn't listen to me, and they don't like me, and they probably will never do it just because they are really bitter. But I don't care. I hope they could just get past that and do it for the safety of the riders. But yeah, they're a problem. They're an absolute problem. Now, when you come across all the way across the track like that with McAdoo, and you're about to go into the other lane, maybe it wasn't the worst thing that he hit the tough block, because had he gone all the way across and head on somebody, we're talking about like a serious, oof. But what I would like to see is, the big lines that they put for the mechanics to hang out their pit boards to break fingers, that big pad that they use for that, that's what I want to see in between the lanes, just in case, it's unlikely and it'll probably almost never happen, but I just think that would be a better way. And it's a great big logo that they could probably sell. So I don't know why they wouldn't do that. Why not just use the yellow markers they use in motocross? And Max, that would be the easiest thing to do. That would be probably the easiest and best thing to do, but they insist on selling them. They insist on having this specific look. And when they have that specific look, that's just what they want for Supercross. They think it looks good on TV. They can sell it. And one thing about Feld is they absolutely want money. There's no way around it. I'll tell you guys a little story. So you guys know Road to Recovery, how they take care of riders. And they, anytime somebody's hurt, they take care of them. It's a nonprofit organization. So they were going to the races. They had their booth in the pits. And what they would do is, if you had a $50 donation, they give you a gift bag. Well, Feld shut it down. They came over and Dave Prater said, you can't do this. Huh? Apparently, Feld's sales on like merchandise was down. So they said, you're giving stuff to people and they're not buying it from us. So you can't do that anymore. So people can make donations, but Road to Recovery can't give them a gift bag. Seriously, true story. This actually happened. And now Road to Recovery is not going to attend the races because, they're spending money to go to these races to try and drum up money for injured riders. Meanwhile, the donations just aren't there if they can't give away a gift bag. It's stupid. That just, if you want to know what Feld thinks of riders and money, that is it to a T. Brian Kuhn, shout out Cooksey. Much respect, brother. Cooksey mob. Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you guys something. So Langston was like, man, you might not have the biggest audience on YouTube and some of these moto podcasts, but your people are loyal. And he heard from more of you guys. He's like, wow, I've never seen reactions like this off any other show. So I give you guys 100% credit. I really appreciate it. Zach Attack. Nothing you tell me about Feld will surprise me anymore. Seriously, it's embarrassing. And I'm sad that that's the state we're in right now. It's really disappointing. I can't understand how these guys can sleep at night and do the things that they do. And there's something involved with, and I'm looking into something that could be really disgusting and actually will get Doge involved if this comes through. But I'll let you guys know about that later on. But it has to do with the kids and St. Jude. So I'm looking into that. I don't know if it's true or not yet. I will let you know when I find that information. Omaha. I like what you're doing. It takes a lot of guts. Stay strong. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And it's crazy. If you had told me, and I've said this multiple times, like Ricky says, remember when I said, if somebody told me 5 years ago, Feld is going to go this hard at you just for telling things that you see, I'd be like, no, that's crazy. Nobody would do that. That's crazy. No way. And like I said, had it not directly happened to me, I'm like, wow, holy moly. It's wild. How about Chase Sexton? Is it me or does this dude just enjoy making it exciting? So I think we can put to bed that the Honda caused his issues. Yeah, it's not the Honda. That's just Chase Sexton. Chase Sexton. Joel, what's happening, my brother? Thank you so much. If you guys haven't noticed, Joel comments on every video, helps the algorithm. Been there since day one. Thank you, sir. Very cool. I appreciate you. I appreciate a lot of you guys. You guys are awesome. So let's see. Aloha, Matthew V from Hawaii. Drew Jones. Why does Webb always get the best of Kenny? That's got to be demoralizing for Kenny. Oh, boy. Well, one of the very first videos I did back on YouTube, I broke down the reason that those guys had their issues. So if you haven't heard, Cooper Webb is married to Ken Roczen's ex-girlfriend. There was comments, and Webb has continually ruined his life ever since, he made the comments about, I think Kenny made the comments something to the extent of no more hoes and housewives, or no more hoes and headaches is what he said in the picture. And ever since that moment, it like lit a fire. And Cooper Webb is just a guy. He thrives on that negative energy. And people talk about, oh, don't be negative. Don't be negative. I don't think people understand how much power to have negative and positive energy. If you feed off that negative energy the right way, it's powerful. And obviously Webb feeds off of that negative energy and turns it into something. And I try to do that too. I try to steer into negative energy because you got to have both. If you just have all positive, a magnet works off negative and positive. You can't have just one. So that's my deep thoughts for the day. Kenny's on that geriatric bike, Jon Snow says. Yeah, but hey, I will say this. That geriatric bike looks like it's working pretty damn good. They have done a heck of a job. So I don't know. The way that Chisholm is at testing and the way they've got that thing dialed in, his confidence. One thing about a bike is it doesn't matter if it's the best bike in the world. But if you feel comfortable and you can push to that extra little edge and you feel comfortable with what the bike's going to do, that's better than having the best bike that you don't know what it's going to do. Cooper's mental is crazy. He knows he's the big dog. Oh, That whole main event, he was lurking behind Roczen. He knew what he was going to do. He's like, okay, I'm just going to push, push, push. And then at like the 15-minute mark, he's like, okay, now I'll pass him. And just, man, Kenny is going to have to. Kenny's probably so mean to fans because he's so like heartbroken because Webb has literally ruined. Think about how many times Webb has done that to him. And he's married to his ex-girlfriend. Wow. Like, that's rough, man. That's really, really rough. Premix and pedals. Coop said he had the speed on lap. Of course, he looked like it. He was out there just kind of lollygagging around. And like I wouldn't say lollygagging, but he knew Sexton wasn't in the mix. He didn't have to go immediately. So he's like, all right, I'll just stay on Ken. If he makes a mistake, I'll just take it. And if not, I'll force it around the 15-minute mark. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, there was no doubt in Webb's mind at any time in that main event that he wasn't going to win. Let's see. Josh, 22. Cooksey, are the AMA making rules up as they go? Anstie was robbed. So I was with you. I thought the rule was 90% completed. It was done. But upon further review, there's a little another little thing in there that says in the main events, as long as there's time on the clock, they re-rack them. So yeah, I don't understand why you would have that rule for the main event, but not the heat races. Don't ask me why the AMA does things. They do things because they're idiots. It's ridiculous. Gus Christensen. Cooksey, does the rider starting at the front on staggered start, does he have to leave the green flag or can go 3 seconds later? He can go whenever he wants, which, I mean, but yeah, that's a good one. I would almost stall those guys for a second. I wouldn't go right on the green flag, but that's a risky one because if Ken's timing it and he gets within 2 inches of you, as long as his wheel is a knobby behind, Cooper Webb's front wheel, it's technically legal. So yeah, that would be an interesting technique to pause those guys. Never thought of that. That's a good one. Josh, my point is McAdoo is down for like 2 minutes before they threw it out. Really? No, hey, you know what, Josh? I agree with you there. I thought they were going to throw the red flag almost immediately when I saw him sprawled out, looking like he was no longer with us. And when they waited so long, it was, yeah, that was questionable. I wish they would make better decisions, but I mean, it's the AMA. Honestly, they're idiots. Like Grant Langston said, they don't know what they're doing. They're people who probably haven't raced. I know they've consulted with like Ezra Lusk and they've got Jeremy Albrecht in there. And Jeremy knows what he's doing. He hasn't been a top racer, but he's been a mechanic. He's been around forever. He understands the sport. Same with Ezra Lusk. I don't know how much input those guys had or who specifically makes that call. Taylor McBride, thank you. So let's see. I appreciate that. Like I say, Mob, you guys are the best. Let's see. I did like Ansie's post-race interview, though. What a badass. Yes. And he's probably going to get berated for that. But you know what? Good for him. So these guys on their when they get that mic, that is their moment to tell us who they are as a person, to tell their story. And when you get up there and just fake it and do this weird sponsor read, how are we supposed to know who you are? That is your moment to sell your personal brand. You'll be with this team for a little bit, but after, you'll go to another team and another team. You're working on your personal brand when you're up on that podium and you have that mic. You earn that mic by getting on the podium. So you get up there and you say whatever the hell you want. Zach Attack, if Deegan can say what he wants, then so can everyone else. Yes, absolutely. I think they all should stop. And I've always said, don't get up there and be fake. Get up there and tell people exactly what you think. Tell them, if you're mad, be mad. If you're a quiet person, be quiet. But hey, I want to how about HBI KTM team? Aiden Shive, first main event ever. I really like the HBI team. They have been shunned by, this whole, as Grant Langston likes to call it, the machine, and they haven't got much support. So yeah, to see them take a kid who's never been in a main event and get in the main event. Congratulations, Aiden Shive, Matt Bell, and the HBI team. There's so many good people. Let's see. Justin Bradley, it was a hairline premix. Probably made it worse by race. Oh, we're talking about Tomac's leg. Yeah, that's a tricky one because I assume they're using the same X-ray machine that they have for a very, very long time. I've had an X-ray from that. I tried to qualify for Glen Helen in '07, broke my foot. I had severe breaks. It was clearly easy to see on that. But the X-rays that they have in that little machine, and I don't know what it takes to haul an X-ray machine to the races. It can't be easy. I do know the one they have in the Alpine Star medical unit is not very good. Let's see. Jason Anderson didn't have an issue calling the AMA out. Mako 105. Oh, Mako. My dad always had Makos as a kid. No, he didn't. And he heard about it. And look how many times they've been unfair to him because of that. It's a weird game that we have. And I don't know. Like I said, things are about to change. Brian S. Forkner is toast. I disagree. He was really sick and he's coming off a brain surgery. And I talked to someone else who had a friend that had that. So it can affect your motor skills for like a year or two. So give him some time. It's a miracle that dude's even racing, considering what happened to him. Yeah, so give Forkner a break. Plus, he hit that tough block. Of course, another tough block took somebody out in practice. Jesus, it just blows my mind that they haven't done anything about that. It's absolutely nuts. So let's see. Jacob Garcia, Webb owns Roczen. Yes, so much so. Let's see. Now I know why. Let's see. Popping up here pretty fast. Sean Turner. Now I know why Levi dodged the West. Well, yeah. Of course. Yeah, of course. It's, do you want to race against Hayden Deegan? The dude's a savage. And then you take a look. I don't think people counted on, Juju being as good as he was. But then you also had Joe Schmoda before the pitboard incident, which it's another stupid thing. Like, can't they just get these guys like a stool or something to stand on to get those pitboards up about 4 feet? Just above the guys' heads. And then you won't ever have to worry about that. It's not an issue. Rob B. McAdoo should be banned. I'm not going to go that far, but I will say this. If I was racing against Cameron McAdoo and I saw him anywhere near me on the track, I would give him plenty of room because he doesn't know where he's going. So how could you know where he's going? So yeah, absolutely nuts. Let's see. Ruckus Boys. Mac needs to go back to the Suzuki. No, Tomac to a Suzuki? Come on. You're out your mind. Let's see what else we got here, guys. All right. So this has been the instant reaction. What a race. I know you guys all think that Anstie got robbed. With that said, I still appreciated it. I really did. Glenn Myers, Hammaker is the same as McAdoo. I don't think so. Okay. McAdoo, they claim food poisoning. Hammaker, they're claiming he's got food poisoning. And he might. But he's also a guy who has dealt with chronic fatigue ever since he turned pro. They ran this poor kid to the ground. And if you listen to Coach Rob talking about the endocrine system and how long it takes to build it back, Mitch Payton and that team don't understand that. They clearly don't understand it. He's just like, work harder. That at some point, it doesn't matter. When you run these guys into the ground and their endocrine system is shot, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. But Seth Hammaker is not a hazard like McAdoo is. I don't think he's hurt as nearly as many people. I think he did cause that first turn crash last year, but I mean, it's first turn. Zach Attack. PC is a curse strikes again. Well, I honestly think, listen, Mitch is a Hall of Famer in this sport. He's one of the best to ever own a team, be a part of a team. But his old school mentalities of work harder, push, at some point you actually have to look at the science of it and treat these guys a little differently. You have to develop your talent instead of just, here, get on the bike. If you win, great. If you don't, you're fired. That doesn't work. Josh 22. Yeah, Cooksey, what do you think on the HRC fill-in ride for someone? I really hope they put somebody on it. I talked to Ryan Brees. I really want him to put Ryan Brees on the bike. He's such a hard worker, such a badass, and I know he would get out there. He wants this opportunity so bad. He called Lars. I really hope they give it to Ryan Brees. I thought about Trey Kennard because he's the test rider, and had he not gotten hurt recently, I think he probably would have jumped on the bike for them. But they said sponsor-wise, they don't have to put anybody on there. Dean Wilson would be also a great one, but I think he's got some contracts with the overseas stuff. Nithrone. I heard Freezy denied the offer to get that ride. Yeah, probably. I don't. I haven't checked with Freezy on that Nithrone, but I did see. I think Daniel Blair put it out, and it was Freezy is very, very loyal to the guys at MCR. He is not going to leave or do anything that would get away from that team. They've been so good to him. I think he's also got some hard feelings towards Supercross because of the way the promoters treat him. So yeah, I'm whatever. Vince just won his championship in Arena Cross. He is the new king of Arena Cross, and I think he just wants to focus on that and World Supercross, and going to these race series where they actually appreciate him. So let's see. Let Hanny ride one. His style would make people want a Honda. Yeah. The problem is he's kind of old now. Of course, he looks good, but I don't see how long Hanny could go. But yeah, Hanny's just. I mean, the guy looks good on a bike for sure. Any of you guys try the Nano? Have you sent me your address? If you have, if you emailed your address, and email, name, address, email. If you sent that to my email, then you will be getting a sample. If you got it wrong, you probably won't. Justin Bradley, thank you, brother, for checking in. I really appreciate it. Guys, if you want to see a good interview, go check out Coach Rob with Jeremy Martin, and Jeremy Martin talking about how it's funny that Max called out Star. And unfortunately, Star has a history of being very mean to riders, and that's Bobby Reagan's kind of his thing. I remember one of the riders telling me, "Man, that guy has said the most ruthless things to me." They left him. Remember when Josh or Jeremy Martin didn't qualify? They left him at the arena. Crazy, right? But that's what Jeremy Martin said. So check that out on Coach Rob's page. Cooksy Cookout will have a sign-up sheet coming this week. Doug Tunler, Langston is Moto Jones. Changed my mind. Everyone's got their theory on who he is. I happen to know who he is, and I will never divulge. Sorry, guys. Precision Transport guys, hit them up if you need anything. So thank you guys. And Motobilia, check that site out. Some of the best memorabilia out there. Hey, how about Justin Starling looking sick in that Alias gear? I love the Alias gear is back. Does anyone else like that stuff? But I saw him in the LCQ, and I even text the guys from Alias. I'm like, dude, that stuff is good. Funny story. They gave that stuff to him, and they said, they have, when they give you gear, they have a launch to go with the gear. He wasn't supposed to wear that stuff. He wasn't supposed to wear it. So Justin Starling jumped the gun and wore gear that won't be out for about a month or so. But hey, it is what it is. It sure looked badass. And like I say, when I start riding again, I'll be wearing some Alias gear. Glenn Myers, Ronnie Mack is Moto Jones. Maybe. Spider X. I like my glasses. Brian S. Vial is a non-factor. I think the bigger whoops this year are really affecting Tom Vial, but I don't know. I think he's going to be there. Give him a little bit. Mike, Moto Jones is 100% fire. That dude he cracks me up. He hits me with some of the best one-liners, and oh boy. Yeah. Doug Tunler, it's Rhino trolling you. What do you mean? Yeet. Cooksy is Moto Jones. Listen, you can go over to that channel and check. I've been live when Moto Jones is doing his videos. It's not me. That I promise you guys. Do I ever lie to you guys? I promise you. I'm not telling you who it is, but I can promise you it's not me. All right, guys. Thank you for everything. You guys are the best. And like I said, Langston was blown away at the support that you guys show. So hey, I think we're getting some attention. I will share some information. Some legends watched that interview and were stoked. It's crazy when you hear guys like Bob Hanna watch the show and they're like, wow, crazy. I was blown away to hear some of the heroes that I watch reaching out to Grant. And I'm like, I know they were watching for Grant and it wasn't for me. And I get that, but I happened to be conducting an interview when they were watching. So that alone just, blew me away. So thanks guys. I appreciate you so much. And I'll catch you later.